Hey everyone, coming to you from the open window here. It's just that kind of morning where it's an open window kind of morning where I'm kind of enjoying the birds singing out there and thinking about what I want to share with you for food for thought, going through my books, looking for book quotes and things like that. And I was reading Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, and there's something in there about Freudenfreude, which is the opposite of Schadenfreude, and I want to talk to you about that. So just like Brene Brown talks about in her book Atlas of the Heart, I often find myself with Schadenfreude, which means pleasure or joy derived from someone else's suffering or misfortune. Right now, there's some people taking hits in a couple of different worlds I pay attention to, and they have some people out there that are probably enjoying some of these hits that they're taking, and it really got me thinking, looking in my books for something that might be the antithesis of that. And I like what Brene Brown does in Atlas of the Heart, where she talks first about Schadenfreude. Definitely, as usual, talks about her struggles with it. I certainly struggle with it. But then she ends on the note of Freudenfreude, which is the opposite of Schadenfreude. It's the enjoyment of another's success. It's also a subset of empathy. And so she talks about the fact that in her family, that their simple way of saying this is, as they want their kids to surround themselves with people that are good for them, and as they also want their kids to be those kind of kids that are good for others, they say no flame blower outers. That's their way of saying more Freudenfreude and less Schadenfreude. And she talks a little bit about how there's research in the World Journal of Psychiatry and Mental Health Research that Catherine Chambliss examines the role that both Freudenfreude and Schadenfreude play in depression. And Chambliss writes, when others report success to us, they generally hope for an empathetic response of shared joy, Freudenfreude. If instead they get a negative competitive reaction, they may respond with confusion, disappointment, irritation, or all three. Ongoing lack of Freudenfreude eventually can pose a fatal challenge to a relationship, and in turn, relationship failure often produces depression. We suspected that depressed folks might exhibit deficiencies in Freudenfreude. So, I've experienced a lot of this in my life. It's very difficult when people that maybe have been mean to you or you've had some challenges with take a hit, not to kind of take joy in that or celebrate it. It's a very human thing to do. But one of the antidotes that Brene Brown's subscribing is to counteract that with doing more of the opposite of that. And she talks about how she does it, how she kind of puts it into play. And she says that when someone shares something great that happened to them, she shows interest, asks questions. When someone demonstrates joy, when we share ours, we can express gratitude. Thank you for celebrating this with me. It means so much that you're happy for me. I was just talking with someone the other day, and they experienced yet another disappointment from the way they were being treated in the world of work. And, it was hard for us not to, and we indulged in, kind of taking some pot shots and things. And it's much more important that we keep trying to point ourselves back to the Freudenfreude. And the way that Brene brings us back into that is she gives an example of a leadership lesson she learned from Abby Wambach's book Wolf Pack. She says Abby is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist soccer player and FIFA World Cup champion. She was the United States leading scorer in the 2007 and 2011 Women's World Cup tournaments and the 2004 and 2012 Olympics. In Wolfpack, Abby writes about the point and run. She explains that every time she scored a goal, the first thing she would do is point to the person who made the assist or the coach who called the play, and the run was about celebrating another person's victory. She writes, "You will not always be the goal scorer. When you are not, you better be rushing toward her." And I just think that is an excellent way to end this little food for thought. Just remember that we'll not always be the goal scorer, but when we're not, we better be rushing toward whoever is. Thanks. Have a great day. I want to see you soar.